Aloha and welcome to Akaku Tutorials. My name is Austin and today we're going to be learning how to use your iOS device to record video. Now this works on iPhones, iPods, and iPads because they all use the same camera application. Now the camera application lives on the home page screen of your iOS device. It's this icon right here with the camera on it. If you can't find it, scroll down and search camera. Now once we select it, it opens the photo mode. And to enter video, we swipe over where it says photo and or video. Now before we start filming, I'm going to show you some camera settings. Now scroll down till you find camera. From here, this is our camera settings. Once you open it, some things will be turned off. Enable them, like the grid. That is our rule of thirds grid, which we'll talk about later. And then make sure you have stereo sound enabled. And that will enable your two stereo, they're not stereo, but two microphones that make a stereo channel. Going to record video, you'll see 1080 at 30 and 60 frames per second and 4K at 24, 30, and 60 frames per second. This gives us latitude with our resolution and our frame rate. You'll see down here that for a minute of video, 1080 at 30 frames per second is 60 megabytes of information, whereas 4K at 30 frames per second is 170 megabytes for 1 minute of video. And so 1080 is less information being stored on your phone because it's a smaller file size. Now we're going to exit out of this. We'll go back into our camera. Now the two main things you want to focus on is exposure and focus. You'll see that the camera does what's called auto exposure and auto focus. The darker areas get brighter. Brighter areas get darker, and it tries to expose for them. We'll see we have a contrasty image right here. We have black wall, black lens, white drone, white curtains. There's a lot going on here. And you'll see that it's exposed for the wall. If we hold down on the drone, this will flash 3 times. That's our auto exposure and autofocus lock. Now we're going to change our exposure by grabbing the sun and bringing it down. You'll start to see the image start to go dark. And you'll see that the drone is still exposed properly, but the rest of the image is completely dark. That's because this drone is brighter than everything else in our image. Now if we overexpose, you'll start to see our image start to break down. When you overexpose, the image starts to lose its saturation and it's bumping up everything in the camera digitally, and the image starts to fall apart from there. This looks really, really bad because it's called digital gain. So what you're going to want to keep in mind is with your subjects, you want to slightly underexpose for latitude. Next thing is our audio. Now I'm in a small room right now. My voice is kind of boomy, but you want to keep in mind the area in which you're filming. You don't want a lot of people talking if you're filming somebody. So if you're doing an interview with someone, you want to be in a close proximity with your subject. If you can't hear them, the camera can't hear them. So always keep in mind your proximity to your subject. Now, this also has a feature called zoom. You grab that, and you can use this wheel to zoom in and out. Another way of doing it is grabbing your screen and pulling apart with your 2 fingers. Now, use your zoom sparingly because it's a digital zoom, and once you go past about 10%, the image starts to break apart. And you'll see that when I zoom into these darker areas. So you'll see down here there's a flip icon. Press on that, And now go into our selfie camera. And that's our front-facing camera. If we touch that again, we'll go to our rear-facing camera. Most of the time we'll be filming with our rear-facing camera because we'll be filming our subjects and not ourselves. Now when you're ready to record, press that red button and it'll go from a circle to a square. You'll see that time has elapsed 5 seconds. Let's press it again to stop, and it'll go to our camera roll. You can review your footage, exit out of the app, and it goes into our photos. Go to albums, videos, and that's where your videos live. So from there you can upload your videos to Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, any social media of your choice. You can even submit to Akaku by going to akaku.org/submit. And if you have any other questions, feel free to contact me at austin@akaku.org. And if you're interested, after you've recorded your video, you could also edit your video in iMovie Mobile on your own device. And that's the next video I'm going to be talking about in this Akaku tutorial series. Akaku, this is how we stay connected.